but it certainly creates a challenge for his communications team, Steph.
All right, I want my panel to weigh in here. Jason Johnson, whether or not you call it a ban, does it actually make a difference?
It does. It does. It's sort of like what we've seen with voter suppression cases, right? You'll have Republican governors say, look, we weren't trying to screw over black people and poor people. We were just trying to screw over Democrats. And if the intent is political, sometimes the courts will say it's fine. If the intent is racial, then the courts will say that's against the Constitution. And so the president, by constantly calling this a ban as opposed to discussing it as a national security issue, as opposed to laying out some sort of plan or plot of saying these particular countries present a danger, it makes it very easy for courts to say your intention is to discriminate against people because of their religion, because of where they happen to come from, and it makes it impossible for his entire administration to substantively make this argument. And he keeps doing it over and over and over again. I feel sorry for his legal team.
Well, this is also his own Justice Department. Yes. When the president is saying, I don't like the watered-down version of the travel ban, I want to go back to the original. He signed off on this one. But, Colonel, I want to share with you, I want to read a part of a Wall Street Journal editorial where they write, if this pattern continues, Mr. Trump may find himself running an administration with no one but his family and the Breitbart staff. People of talent and integrity won't work for a boss who undermines them in public without thinking about the consequences. Now, the president undercut the people that said this wasn't a ban. He undercut the people who provided the rationale for firing James Comey, and he wants loyalty from people who work for him. He has said over and over again, loyalty is premier. But don't they deserve the same? I think about H.R. McMaster and Gary Cohn writing that op-ed in the Wall Street Journal last week about how the president supported Article 5, and then we learned that, in fact, he took Article 5 at the last minute out of his speech to NATO.
Well, I think there's two things here at play. Look, I've worked for bosses that I had to be loyal to that I did not agree with the way that they ran business. It's something every individual has to make a choice. Do you want to support the man who's in charge or not? In this case, it's all voluntary, so people can walk away any time. No doubt, Mr. Trump has given his staff huge challenges regarding messaging. I know for a fact, based on my own conversations, that people are always trying to keep up with him because his perspective is often different and often based on his personal perception of the reality rather than the legal aspect. I mean, he's not a lawyer. He's not a politician. So I think this is where the way he's done business in the past as a businessman, being direct, is now in conflict with the way the city runs.
But, sir, being direct means your word is your bond. Being direct means having a point of view. The president himself said to John Dickerson of CBS, I don't stand for anything. And at this point, can we actually say he's not a politician?
He's becoming a politician by the fact that he's now the president. I'll say this about the problem and what's going on. I do believe Mr. Trump has to be much clearer about what he's trying to achieve. I always say as a military officer, begin with the end in mind. What do you want to achieve? And then try to figure out how to do it. I don't think he's figured out how to do that yet. I think he's still trying to learn how to use the levers of government and Twitter and other means of communication. And his staff's caught in the middle of it. And I feel sorry for him, but, you know, they've got to decide they're going to stick with the guy or not. And I do believe Mr. Trump ought to be more precise in the way he messages things.
Then I want to share a part of what his son, Donald Trump Jr., said this morning on Good Morning America around President Trump and his staff in the White House.
Are you satisfied with the team he has around him right now?
You know, I am, but the immediate team. But I do think there's plenty in D.C. There's probably plenty still in the White House. There's plenty of holdovers. That aren't necessarily working in his best interest.
Do you think there's people that are actively working against him?
Oh, I think without question.
Okay, so Don Jr. feels the immediate team. The president doesn't have to keep anyone there who's a holdover. That White House is filled, this administration is filled with empty seats that the president could fill. So if Don Jr. and/or the president so passionately feel that people close to him are working against him, why not get them out? He certainly knows the phrase, "You're fired." Ned? Ned?
Well, that's exactly right. Look, I think, there's been a lot made of holdovers in the deep state, but terms like that, what they really refer to, Stephanie, are the thousands, the tens of thousands, in fact, the hundreds of thousands of dedicated public servants who are not serving a party, who are not serving an administration, but who have taken their career and have served their country, the United States of America. Look, it is not in our system of civil service, that we are Republicans or Democrats. We are dedicated public public servants. And I think that when we hear this administration blame the deep state, blame these Obama holdovers, they're actually just using this as an excuse for their own mistakes. This administration, including on the issue of the travel ban, as we've seen, has been its own worst enemy. It is not Obama holdovers that have torpedoed this travel ban, be it the first iteration or the second iteration. It has been this president. It has been Stephen Miller. It has been others in his administration with their own statements, yes, including the president's own tweets.
All right, we're going to leave it there. I want to put a message out to Don Jr. if you're watching. Don Jr. said the president's immediate staff is with him. Then don't you wonder, Stephen Bannon, who has been given an official waiver to communicate with Breitbart News that has written that Jared and Ivanka are the globalists in the White House? I don't know. It's confusing to me who exactly is on your team and who isn't. All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all so much. NBC's Pete Williams and Kristen Welker, as well as Ned Price and Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. You too, Stephen Jason, stick around. When we come back, we